tell us a little bit more about the Council of Canadian Innovators. What does it do and what does it represent?
Yeah. Council of Canadian Innovators is a business council with 140 member companies across Canada that are really pushing and advocating for a better tech ecosystem for Canada. And the member companies are scaling technology companies, so they're not startups and they're not sort of large foreign multinationals. These are companies that are headquartered here in Canada and really look at how to create a better and more successful ecosystem through engaging in public policy in Ottawa, but also the provincial capitals.
I guess the obvious question is, what is the state of Canadian innovation these days?
So that's a great question. And I think I'm actually going to sort of reframe it just a little bit. Innovation really is, or the innovation economy is really kind of everything. And you're going to say, well, what do you mean by that? Well, to give sort of an illustrative example, in 1975, about 17% of the S&P 500 was the intangible asset. So that's things like IP, data. Fast forward to 2019, 21% of the S&P 500 is the intangible. So this is really where all the money is, where all the value is. And COVID has really actually expedited this process. Just think about us, sitting at home on Netflix or ordering things on Amazon or being on Facebook, right? That value of being 91% has only sort of gotten sort of more intense and kind of moved more forward in terms of its actual valuation. And ultimately, what that means is that Canada has to have a successful innovation strategy in order to generate and create prosperity and wealth going forward. And we've actually seen Canada slip backwards last year. We moved from being 20th to 21st behind Slovenia. No offense to Slovenia at all. But that really is sort of where we're sort of seeing things, is that there isn't sort of a full kind of comprehensive all of government approach to the innovation space. And that's really critical if we want to pay for the programs that we as Canadians care about, whether it be healthcare, education. And I think the other thing to sort of take into account here is, regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, left or right, this actual issue matters to you because it is ultimately how Canada is going to pay for those social programs, which we mentioned, but also the economic recovery and the amount that we've sort of rung up because of the crisis.
Because, of course, with COVID, we've got a lot of ground to make up.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, is it 400 billion? Is that sort of the most recent estimate I remember sort of reading that potentially will be spent? And I think as we enter into a prolonged second wave and new variants, that number might only grow.
So, from your perspective, there is more to be done on Canadian innovation. Are there some things we're doing right?
Yeah, for sure. So I think, if we look at some of the programs that have kind of come out over the last number of years, I think there's a few kind of bright spots that we can kind of look to. So, I would say definitely the immigration changes around the global skills strategy, I definitely think is a positive space where the government's done some really good work. I think the creation of the IAC, or the Innovation Asset Collective, looking at how to build IP capacity in this country, I think is really, really critical. And then the other thing that I would say is that we've seen sort of bright spots occur in provincial governments as well. So, Minister Schweitzer's been brought in Alberta under the Kenney government, and really has a lot of energy towards the innovation space. And for Alberta, that's actually a new area for them to focus on. Mm-hmm. And in British Columbia as well, under the Bergen or NDP government, you're seeing a real desire to consult and engage as well.